I want to shift here into our last topic, which is the future of influencer marketing. Now, influencer marketing has obviously been happening a long time before social media even existed. It's just kind of taken a different form now that we have a place where people can, um, talk about brands and products, and actually we can see some kind of like metrics that's helped us to build a monetizable landscape for influencers. Um, Now, there's a lot of things obviously that have changed in recent years, and one of the things we see on YouTube and even podcasting recently is a lot of celebrities stepping into the YouTube and the podcasting game, which is interesting because historically celebrities have benefited from being discreet and only being photographed, and like they're almost like unicorns. Where you see them, it's kind of like, oh, wow. I think Will Smith has been one of the creators that has really risen to the top across social and digital. Jack Black is somebody else that I've seen on YouTube
Really?
also. Oh yeah, he gets it in.
I haven't seen any Jack Black content. I gotta check them out.
Those are good.
He created a channel all about gaming videos, and his first, I don't know, 5 videos were about not about gaming.
Yeah.
But he's just hilarious, so he's like very natural to the space.
Mhm.
And of course, again, we have this growing ecosystem for influencers. YouTube has invested into creating a creator studio. Obviously, you can make money off of YouTube ads. Facebook has their brands collabs manager, where influencers that are working with brands can tag them directly on Facebook or Instagram. Now, Instagram is actually working on monetizing Instagram TV. Now that they have over 1 billion monthly active users, they're thinking about giving influencers of running ads and giving influencers like 50% of the ad revenue for the first year or some period of time, and then probably after that it's going to change. And of course, TikTok has a huge marketplace. Now, in context of where we're at right now with the pandemic, there's been obviously a shift. Some influencers, don't really have any work right now because the brands, the travel brands especially, are basically on pause right now. Um, and according to the latest eMarketer stat on this, they're saying 31% of U.S. marketers say influencer budgets are going to dramatically decrease in the light of COVID. Again, probably a lot of that has to do with the fact that a lot of influencers are being used for travel stuff, even though they're also used or work with brands in other capacities, showcasing products or other services. Um, and also, within light of COVID, it is hard to create content. Juan mentioned David Dobrik decided to take a pause from YouTube. Um, but knowing all of this and knowing the fact that people are a lot more willing to trust an influencer than an ad, and we have more and more marketplaces popping up, not just for influencers to build followings, but also now the platforms are proactively are monetizing and creating the infrastructure. Where do you see this going in the next like couple of years? Obviously, we know now the budgets are going down, but that'll definitely bounce back as the economy and things start to change. Do you guys have any specific thoughts on that?
I see I feel like the weight that influencer marketing holds, I see it just naturally, it's going to die off. Like, not die off completely, but it's going to go back in line with, like, that of, like, a billboard or something like that. Because I feel like the power that it had was, like, the novelty of the average person not fully understanding, like, this is purely transactional. It's the same thing as if I own a billboard and Coca-Cola pays me to paste Coca-Cola on it. In most cases, it doesn't mean that I'm, like, raving about Coca-Cola and I think it's the superior soda. It's a matter of, like, oh, this is how much I would have charged anybody to say this, because like there's no real like verdict on whether or not influencers like actually use the product that they like promote or stuff like that. A lot of them say like, hey, I would never promote something like that I don't actually use, but it's like, who's holding a gun to their head? Like, I feel like it's inevitable for it to get to the point. I feel like it's inevitable for it to get to the point where the average person, like the average stay-at-home mom, like watching TV and stuff like that, it becomes like they just understand, like, oh, this is this person's job to tell me they like fit tea, or it's this person's job to promote like Raycon or something like that. It's not that Raycon is actually like a great headphone. It's that they paid him $2,000 to say that, and like anybody would say Raycon's a great headphone for $2,000.
So you think it's eventually going to get to the point where people are just going to recognize it as an ad. So in the same way how domain advertising, if I was buying a billboard ad
Yeah.
on a website, eventually that led to banner blindness and people just scroll right over and ignore the advertising. Eventually it's just going to become noise like everything else, and you're going to know I still might trust the influencer, but when they talk about
Exactly.
the Audible, thank you
Exactly.
Audible or Squarespace for
Yeah.
sponsoring, you're like, you didn't.
Like,
Did you create your website with Squarespace?
like
Did you
Ninja
really?
is like on a live stream and like millions of people are watching, and then it's like a hard break from the live stream, and he's talking about Reese's Puff cereal. Like this is actually like he's talking about Reese's Puff cereal, and he does that for like 30 seconds, and it's back to like call it like a Fortnite live stream. It's like at a certain point, people are gonna stand. It's like holy cow, like Ninja loves Reese's Puffs so much that he's gonna pause from like Fortnite live streaming to tell us how much he loves it. Like, I need to get some Reese's Puff cereal. It's like, nah, it's just like commercials.
Well, in the meantime, I will tell you that um, influencers are driving sales for businesses. There is
I
an
mean, so do
entire
commercials.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's an entire, and there's, I think, a place within social and digital where they make sense because social commerce is a thing now. According to a white paper report that Smartly put out, they said about between July and August 2020, there was about 51% of the people that they surveyed that said that they bought something because of an ad on social media. And according to a separate report from eMarketer, the top three places where people are going to buy from, well, the top two were Facebook and Instagram. And we know Instagram lends itself really to product discovery. According to their internal stats, I think about 70% of product enthusiasts tend to discover products on Instagram. And it's a great platform for discovery. And they actually now have a suite of tools that not only help to facilitate shopping on the platform, but also integrate influencers. So you have the ability now to make obviously a Facebook shop, an Instagram shop. Um, you can create product tags so that you can actually see what your product, the name of a product, or the description of it. And if you're an influencer, they have the capability, obviously, to be able to tag that out when you work with partnerships with a brand specifically. But now there's a whole set of features for live. So now you can be on Instagram Live and actually tag a product.
Wow.
So it's almost like IGTV or Instagram Live is acting like HGTV, where they would have those people come and talk about the products and sell them on air. And now IGTV is also integrating this functionality. So if you think about IGTV is Instagram's competition with YouTube because it's a long form. You can make up to 60-minute videos on IGTV, and they're starting to monetize that. So they're starting to monetize it. So as an influencer now, if I'm Will Smith or The Rock or whoever, I'm now going to get ad revenue from that. Also, I can plug my product, tag it directly, have people buy it from there. They're also talking about integrating it into Reels. So in the meanwhile, there is more infrastructure being built around influencer because social commerce is a thing. Right now, I think the market's valued at like 90 billion, but they project by 2027 that it's going to be about approximately $604 billion market for social commerce, being able to buy things directly through social media. Yeah. China's way ahead of us because everything is bought through WeChat. Everything is integrated through WeChat.
Right.
So this is like a big opportunity in the meanwhile. So there's going to be more money for influencers, but potentially long term, there's going to sort of be this banner blindness effect where people are just like, I know the Kardashians aren't really going to Jenny Craig or Bally's Total Fitness, whatever, 90s.
On that point, anything transactional on social media is, like you said, it's just getting ignored. But as the platform continues to evolve, but all these platforms continue to evolve, they're going to implement more subtle ways to integrate products into the content itself. The smart shopping, obviously, being, you can tag the product, but branded content, right? They got to find a way to measure this. The same way they can measure OTT integrations on, Nielsen can measure the success of an OTT integration from a show you're watching on a television screen. They're going to have to distill this down to something that can be done scalable and done on a mobile platform. But I don't know how that would look. But I think that they're probably already thinking of ways to, where micro influencers can just go out and shoot a vlog and still be able to integrate, Pepsi or Canon into the content without you actually knowing it's an ad.
Oh boy.
Um,
Well, thank God we have the FTC to protect us on that.